All right, so we got something different we're doing here at the shop, and I thought I'd show you guys because this is a brand new vehicle and there's not much of these trucks out there right now. So we're doing something custom to this one. The owner wants to take the textured top and paint it the color of the vehicle as well as the flares. So they do make the OE flares with paintable. They come primed from the factory, and we went ahead and ordered the original flares. That way we can paint them this nice green. And check out this color. It's got a really nice green with a real flip-floppy pearl on it, and we got it covered up. But I'm going to take you over and show you what we're doing to the top on it, and then we're going to shoot the top, shoot the flares, and we're doing a little bit of custom on the front of the grill here to the emblem. So I'll show you that, but let's head back over there and I'll show you the top. All right, so these are the flares, and they come primed like the Ford bumpers do. They come with that primer that they come with, and we'll just scuff these down. But the big bulk of the job is taking the texture out of the top. So let me bring you guys over here and show you what I've been doing so far on this. So this is an all removable top, and it had a texture to it. So we went ahead and I blocked it with 180. We're gonna go ahead and prime everything, adhesion it, and get rid of the texture. That way the top is shiny on it. Here's the top itself. We had to pull the glass out, and this has a urethane bead. We cut out the glass, and now I'm masking off the inside because this is a 2023 and we want to make sure we protect this. I'm gonna go ahead and tape this part up, and then I'll flip it and show you the texture that's on it. And then over here is what it looks like once you go ahead and you knock it down. So we blocked it and I smoothed it over it to get some of the hairs down because it does like to hair up. So let's go ahead and finish taping up the underside, and I'll flip it over and show you the outside. All right, we've got it all masked off, and I went ahead and covered it up good. I put a little bit of tape to make the paper stronger. That way it doesn't have any chance of ripping when I flip it back over. All right, so this is the outside of it. You guys can see there, it's got a texture to it. So we're gonna knock down the texture with the 180, and it's got a lot of crevices, so it's gonna take some time to get all up inside these grooves to make sure that it's gonna be nice and prepped out the right way. So right now I'm just cleaning off the glue. It had a lot of glue around the edges from the weather strips. So we're gonna go ahead and get that glue off, and then I'll start blocking it down and getting it smoothed out. All right, so you guys see there where I've blocked it and it's knocking the texture down. And this is a weird material. It's got a real funny smell to this plastic, and I think it's kind of like a SMC of some sort, but we're gonna go ahead and block it. You guys see I got my work cut out because I got to get all around inside all these grooves, all inside this channel, and knock down this texture. So I'll cut you guys back on in a minute when I get it mainly sanded out, and then we'll run around the edges of it, and we'll try to get this thing wrapped up to go in the booth and prime it. All right, so we've got it all sanded down now, and it definitely took some time because you had to get inside here. This top looks like it would come apart, but it's all glued together from the inside into the structure of this. So you got to get inside all of the cracks to knock the texture down and make sure you get adhesion. And we went ahead and used the 180 grit because I want to get a good scratch in this so that the primer sticks. So you had to get all around the window openings here to knock the texture down and make sure you get it scuffed really good. All around here inside the window opening there, you got to get all that. And then all around the holes and all the indents and all the areas of it. So We're gonna go ahead now and get all the pieces, everything's taped, scuffed, and we'll get everything in the booth and prime it up. All right, so we went ahead and prep soled them, and now we're gonna go ahead and hit them with an adhesion promoter. It does look as if they have some kind of paint on them, but I'm not sure if it's actually molded into the plastic. So just for precaution, we'll go ahead and hit them with a adhesion promoter. And I know it's gonna stick well because we hit it with 180. That's why I went with a coarse grit to knock the texture down, but also to give it the best adhesion we can for the primer. And once we prime it, we're gonna go ahead and guide coat it and block it all out and try to get it as smooth as we can. And it will have some waves in it because this is a plastic part, and where they glued it to the structure up on the tops, you will see some waves in it, but we're trying to get as much of that out as we can. On the sides is all good because it's pretty much flat, so we won't have to see any of that from the side. So we blocked it well. Let's go ahead and adhesion it, and then we'll hit it with 3 coats of our primer. That way we get a good build and we're able to block it down and get rid of that texture. And this is what I was telling you here. You see how it's gray and then it's got this lighter gray? It almost looks like it was dyed with a paint. But like I said, we're gonna go ahead and adhesion it just in case it is molded into the actual plastic and it's like a molded color. So let's go ahead and adhesion it. All right, so we went ahead and put 3 heavy coats, and we used the ECP primer on that. We put 3 heavy coats of it on there, and we let it flash about 10 minutes in between each coat. That way we could try to get as much solvent out of that in between the coats. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and let that slow bake. That way we can try to let it settle as much as it can, because you don't wanna have that stuff sanded before it actually dries, because then it'll settle into the texture later after it's painted. So if you guys are doing it at home, let it sit out in the sun as long as you can before you sand it. That way you have as much shrinkage before you paint it. Because once that stuff gets out in the sun and gets heated up, it's gonna definitely settle down. So you wanna let it do as much shrinking before you actually sand down the part. So I'm gonna go ahead and guide coat it. We're gonna slow bake it, and then we're gonna get back in a day or so, sand it down, and then shoot everything. All right, so we went ahead, we've guide coated it, and now it's been a couple of days after we slow baked it. So I let it run in the booth actually 2 bake cycles, nice and slow, to get it up to temperature, because I want to let this stuff dry up really good before we sand it. That way it has less chance of dying back on it, because once this is done, it's done. So let your primer set up really good, and the longer you wait, the better you're going to have as a result, as the outcome of the actual texture being gone, because it does like to settle down. So now we're going to go ahead and get them all blocked down. We've already guide coated it, and then we'll sand them down and get them back in the booth, and then we're going to seal them and hit them with that nice green for the Bronco. So we are going to be doing something else to it that's a little custom, and the front emblems on the grill's black, and it says Bronco in white. We're going to change that, and we're going to do a nice old school twist on it, because you guys know that's a retro from back in 1966 of the old Bronco. So we're going to do a little bit of custom work to the emblem to give it some old school look, and it's really going to set that thing off when it's all done. So let's get these done. We'll get them in there, we'll get our emblem lined up, and I'll show you that too. But in the meantime, I got a lot of sanding to do here, so let's go ahead and get it done. All right, so we finally got everything sanded down and in the booth, and we got the flares in here as well. So these were sanded down with the sky pads, the K600 Kovacs. And in here we had to mask all this off. That way it's nice and clean inside the wheelhouses, because these are removable flares and they're made to take on and off if you ever get to a tight like trail. So inside there we want to make sure that we keep them clean. And these were definitely a lot of work. So if anybody's thinking of doing this here to their Bronco, prepare to have at least a couple of days in this, just getting it sanded down and primed and then resanded. So it's definitely not an easy job, and it took a lot of time to get it to this stage. So here's the emblem we're going to be customizing on this. So I put this on this cardboard because what I'm going to be doing to this, I want to make sure that I have able to lift it up to get the effect that I'm going for. So we're going to be doing something custom to this, and I think you guys will really like it. So stay tuned for this part, and then we're going to be painting the horse, and I think I'm just going to do him in the green to match the body. But we're going to go ahead now and wipe it all down, start sealing it and getting color on these, and then I'll show you the custom emblem once we get to that stage. So let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. All right guys, so we got it all based out, and you guys see me doing some work over to the emblem now. And what we're doing is we're trying to make the old school Bronco into the new school, so it's coming out of the emblem as an old patina look. So It's still drying, but you guys will see it once I get it done. I gotta go ahead and use the satin clear on this one, and I'm gonna go ahead and clear this with the satin and then clear the actual rooftop with the shiny. So give me a minute here, and once this is all done, you guys will be surprised how nice it looks. You guys see that blue look? That's the actual 490 still having to dry. So let this set up, and then we'll come back in and clear it, and I'll show it to you all finished up. But we are gonna do some more of this old school patina work on some other jobs coming up here soon. So I'll go over the whole procedure with you guys if you're interested in learning how I do it. And the water base works awesome for the old school patina look. So let's go ahead and get this thing cleared up.